Hello and welcome back to another Rush Duel Links video. I have just literally woken up and we have just had the new Forbidden/Limited List and Skill Rebalance drop. Now this was dropped about 3 hours ago, but we weren't awake 3 hours ago, we were sound asleep. So we're going to go through this now, this is going to be our live reaction, we can talk about it and see what's going on. So we should have the limit changes and the skill rebalancing. I guess we'll do the limit changes first. And we'll go from there. So first things first, limit 1, King's Majesty. Okay, this is something that some people did predict. I was kind of in the boat that King's Majesty doesn't really matter that much, because sending Goat to the graveyard with the skill and then just having King's Majesty to stop one attack is kind of fine. Now obviously we can see negate attack is also right there. So that means, I guess Konami really don't want you stacking trap cards to protect yourself. This was actually what I think was one of the cooler parts of the Gaia deck, was the ability to play King's Majesty, negate attack, and slime, and actually have a lot more defensive options. I don't think it suddenly felt like a stall deck. I don't think it suddenly felt like games were taking far too long. If anything, games were far too quick, and the ability to have King's Majesty and negate attack in the same deck actually slowed them down and let you get to more than 2 or 3 turns. So I'm not the biggest fan of this change. I understand why, right? Konami clearly just don't want you to have trap cards, since Konami hate trap cards. Konami don't like the fact that you can protect yourself, and this seems really apparent, right? We keep not having trap cards get released, at least not good trap cards. Anytime trap cards do get released, they're immediately limited, either limit 1 or limit 3. So this, like, I'm a little bit disappointed in this, but as long as the Gaia skill gets hit, again, this is going to be fine for the most part. Outside of the Gaia skill, no one else is really using King's Majesty, so I don't think that matters too much. Again, negate attack to 1. This basically means you now can't play it alongside Rice Terrace Secure. I guess anyone that's playing limit 1s also gets a little bit hurt by this. So for example, the Dragon deck and playing Phoenix Dragon, you now won't be able to play those two together. So looking at the other limit 1 cards, you now can't play them with Sword and Shield, Burst Stream of Destruction, it's kind of whatever, right? Thousand Knives, Mismatched Rivalry. Gaia Conqueror of Champions is actually quite a big one. So that means that you can't play Negate Attack or King's Majesty alongside Conqueror of Champions. I actually completely forgot that wasn't limit 1. So that is quite a big hit to the Gaia deck. But if the skill gets changed, is this not like too heavy-handed on the Gaia? I don't know, it really depends, You still can't play these cards with Jointech Rushhorn as well. So if you're playing the new Jointech skill, you've now been told you're not allowed to play Negate Attack in it, which isn't great. And Call of the Earthbound. Wow. Okay, so Konami just really do not want you playing good trap cards. So Call of the Earthbound is always a bit weird. If you're playing Piercing, it's not as useful. But if you were playing, let's say, Metarion, which is a really good example, Call of the Earthbound was seeing a lot of tech into Metarion, because if your opponent used Type Change Beam, they used the Shura Star, sucked up all that attack, they slam that attack into one of your attack position monsters, you could use Call of the Earthbound, redirect it into a defense position monster, and once again save yourself from dying. So I don't like that all of these limit 1, because these are all of the cards that basically stop you getting OTK'd. So basically saying you're only allowed to run 1 card in your deck that stops you from just dying to OTKs really sucks. So I get it, again, they don't want you stalling. They don't want you to kind of sit there and just have all these cards to make the game take longer. But we need defensive options, right? There are so many ways to just OTK your opponent right now in the game, between the Gaia deck, between Metari and Ashura Star. Even Magnum Overlord was the original culprit, which is why we started using these cards in the first place. I'm not the biggest fan of this, if I'm being honest, but again, I understand why. And Type Change Beam. Thank God. Thank God Type Change Beam is now limited to 1. I would prefer it banned. This is still going to be kind of a sacky one-off. You'll still just find the one-off beam, combine it with your Ashura Star, and just kill your opponent out of nowhere, which is still going to suck. But this is so much better. This is so much better. So I don't really like these 3 changes. I really like Type Change Beam. I really like the Type Change Beam change. Limit 3, so no limit 2s, and Battle Tested Gaia. So we did predict that this card was going to 3. So this card can be given a harder limitation so that it cannot be played alongside multiple copies of limit 3 cards. So the question is now, Call of the Earthbound was one of the limit 3 cards. Oh, we've just seen Siesta Terror as well. Okay, that's a weird change. I don't know if that matters. I mean, it was seeing play in some of the Gaia builds, but I don't know if it matters that much. So anyway, Battle Tested Gaia. This card now means that you won't be able to play it alongside things like Ghost Cyclone. It means you won't be able to play it alongside things like Secret Order, things like Star Restart. There is quite a lot you now can't play with this card. I think this was pretty much a given. I was expecting this change. We'll see if they also unhit Swift Gaia to go with it. As for Siesta Torero, this is a good card. This card was primarily seeing play to refill your deck. So basically it's a monster that can shuffle cards from your graveyard back into the deck. We will get a lot more of these as Rush progresses into the future, but right now we are very limited in which ones we have, and Siesta Torero is one of the better ones. This card's major weakness is it has 0 defense, which means if you play it in the Gaia matchup, you can get pierced over for quite a lot, and obviously Siesta Torero means that you can flip something down, attack over it, and if you're playing Swift Gaia yourself, you can attack over the monster with piercing. So it's a good card. I don't think it was really on most people's radar to go to Limit 3, but I'm not too bothered by this, because realistically, all the good generic cards, which is what Siesta Torero is, it's a really good generic card, you play it pretty much anything, we don't really want to see pile decks of just all the best staples in the game, so I'm not too hurt to see this get Limit 3. And then Unlimit Swift Gaia. So already, this is telling me that dragons didn't really get a hit. We basically just had the traps put to 1, which is going to hurt Phoenix Dragon, which is, I mean, Phoenix Dragon only just went to 1. I don't think Phoenix Dragon was the problem. I think the skill is the problem. So maybe we'll see in the skill. Maybe the skill rebalancing. So we shouldn't doomsday just yet. But we have Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight. Again, there was no reason for this card to be limited. It's now unlimited. Hyper Engine Vast Vulcan. So this tells me they might be unhitting all of the maximum middle pieces. I don't really see a reason to have Vulcan unhit. I mean, what does this do for Vulcan? Vulcan can now play... what can Vulcan now play? Like Ghost Cyclone? I can't think of anything specific that you can do with Vulcan. So in OCG, the typical way people would play maximums is together in sort of a maximum pile deck. You take 2 or 3 maximums, jam them all together in one deck, ideally ones that had some sort of synergy. So for example, you could play the 3 different Magnum Overlord magnums together, but Hyper Engine Vast Vulcan doesn't really have anything that has a lot of synergy. Then we have Supreme Machine Magnum Overlord Unlimited. Again, I don't really like Magnum Overlord, like this one specifically, because it's just a big OTK machine. It's nothing like... Because even if you combine these two, I don't think it makes either of the deck better. So I'm not really sure what the plan is with unhitting these cards unless there's something coming out in the future. So for example, if we start getting the level 10 support, like I think it's Heavenly Gift, which is discard level 10, draw 2 cards, then this kind of makes sense to me. If we're not getting that coming soon, I don't really understand the logic behind this, but I'm curious to see where it goes. Royal Rebels Heavy Metal. This card will be unlimited in its power level is acceptable in the current meta game. Okay, so this card was originally limited because you could play this alongside Dragius in like say like a pile deck and an aggro deck, and it's just a really good synergistic card. You pop one of your guys out of the way, then you have Dragius who can attack twice. Heavy Metal gets a boosted attack, and then it can attack directly. There's a lot you can do with that. Realistically, for us, I think this just means you now have the Limit 3 slot open in the Royal Rebel deck. So with that in mind, what does that let us play? I mean, what even is there that Royal Rebels would specifically play that's currently Limit 3'd? Ghost Cyclone? Again, you might have played Hall of the Earthbound or King's Majesty, but now both of those cards are Limit 1, so that doesn't matter. Yeah, I really do not know what we're intended to be doing with this now. I guess they might be giving us a new Limit 3 Royal Rebel card, and that could be what this is alluding to. If it is, that's very interesting. I think, though, I don't know what else they could give us outside of, like, the really, like, progressive, like, the really new stuff that's really, really strong. So, that could be a little bit scary. Then we have Shock Dragon. Shock Dragon is a cool card. I didn't think they were going to unhit Shock Dragon, and the reason I didn't think so is because it's kind of a good generic card. So for anyone that doesn't know, Shock Dragon basically reduces the attack of all of your opponent's monsters that are tied for the highest attack, so usually only one monster, by an amount equal to the highest attack on your field. So it's pretty good, and it can lead to some pretty disgusting OTKs. This card did see a lot of play back in the day to like deal with maximums. I don't know what this is going to do, because again, its attack stat is still quite low, its defense stat is quite high. Be interesting to see what happens with this card. Dark Sword Magician, another one that we did predict. This card shouldn't have been on the list to begin with. I don't really think it's realistically going to do anything. No one's really going to play this card. Aim Eagle, another one we predicted. Okay, so that means you can finally play Machine at full power, quote unquote, which is interesting. We have the ability to fix the hand now, which is always really nice. Tarask, another one that we predicted. This is going to be really nice for the Worm deck. Once again, I'm not really sure what we're going to be putting in that Worm deck, because I think Call of the Earthbound would have been the ideal go-to, but now we can't play that, so Gekka, another one we predicted, so again, nothing really to say about this. Plants still aren't going to be good. Playing this as a generic engine, there's better engines you could play. Hopefully we get some more plant stuff in the future. Shieldborn Kong. Now this is one I did not expect, and that's because this, again, is another kind of generic card. For any skill that lets you play this card is actually pretty good. It's only got 2300 attack, but during the main phase that it's normal or special summoned, so can be quite an important distinction. Destroy a face-down defense position monster, and if you do, this card gains 1000. So this is a way for any deck to get through set 3 pass, which is genuinely quite good. It's nothing like super crazy. If this released unlimited a lot earlier, it would have been a lot better. But Shieldborn Kong is genuinely a really, really good card, but you would just never play it because it was limit 3. So now maybe there's stuff we can do with this. It was quite popular in OCG, we'll have to see. Insect Rampage, another card that we did predict. So insects are finally free. Insects, I believe, now have nothing on any of the restricted lists, which is pretty good. Again, I don't know if this is gonna suddenly do really, really well, but I hope it does. And that's it. That is it for the changes. All right, so as is, what have we not hit? We have not hit Dragons. We have not hit Psychic. We have not hit Gaia enough yet, because you can basically still just play the entire Gaia deck. You just take out one copy of Type Change Beam, and you take out a couple copies of your Star Restart. You can still play Matarian Gaia, you can still play Hero Gaia, and there were some builds going around that weren't playing Star Restart or Secret Order, and some of them were just on one Secret Order to Gaia. So that deck is still alive and well, so we have to really hope that the skills fix that. So let's take a gander. So Soul Burning Link, Beyond Curiosity, Maximum Ragnarok, join the battle for all battles. So Cyber skills, Rush on, Rush on, Rush on, Rush on. Wait a minute. So no Celerity. Wait. Really? Wait. So that means you could still play Matarian Gaia. Are you kidding? Oh, Konami, how are you this stupid? Alright, so what they've done is they've put Bing to 1, they've put Battle Tested to 3, and they put Majesty to 1, right? So now you can play either just the NA, no Majesty, no Goat, which again, a lot of lists had already cut anyway, and you can play no copies, let's say. Let's say we're playing 2 copies of Gaia, because a lot of people are already on 2 copies of Battle Tested. So now we're on 2 copies of Battle Tested. We've got that 1 extra copy of, let's say, it doesn't really matter. It could be Secret Order or it could be the Star Restart. You can still play the entire rest of the deck. You can still play Matarion. Just, again, it was completely fine before people started playing Beam. So you can just take Beam out of the deck and the deck will still be completely fine. You can still play Hero Gaia. You can still... So there was a build going around. And this was a build that did really well in the PGRF, as well as we've seen it do quite well in tournaments. And I think the guy that was ranked number 1 in the GRF was also on a similar build, or some other people were. But the logic is that you just play a Zero Fusion build. If you're playing Zero Fusion, you don't need to play Star Restart. The idea is you play like one of each of the normal monsters to be able to search with the Celerity skill. That you can just grab the Polymerization, kind of make one fusion out over the course of the game, other than just Gaia constantly making fusions with its own effect. And then that's the whole deck. So that is still basically at full power. I do not think these are heavy enough hits. I think realistically, Gaia Matarian is then going to go nowhere. It is going to stick around. It's still going to be the best deck. This is catastrophic. I think this is probably the worst possible thing that could have happened. So, if anything... But again, I think Gaia... and Gaia variants, Gaia Matarian is probably still the strongest deck in the game, then Gaia Hero, then probably pure Gaia. I mean, since Gaia wasn't hit enough, I guess it doesn't matter that Dragons didn't get hit, and it doesn't matter that Psychic didn't get hit, because it's not going to matter. They're not Gaia, so they're not going to compete. let's have a look. Soul-Burning Link, and this is speed. All right, Beyond Curiosity. So it no longer reduces the attack of your... Okay. So Yggdrago no longer loses attack. Okay. I mean, this is interesting. This basically lets you play Cyburst the way it was intended to be played originally in the OCG, which is you play your Zeptron, your Peacock Pictotron, your Atron. You basically use all of those. Just turbo the graveyard. Just go through the deck, go through the deck, go through the deck, go through the deck. Find your boss monster and use that to try and end the game on its own. So I guess, if anything, if this becomes more popular, people might want to start playing more TSA and stuff. Yeah. And then Maximum Ragnarok lets you play 100 defense or 1500 or more defense. So this could... I mean, this basically lets you play things like Calyptotron. This also potentially means we're going to get more Cyburst cards in the future. I do believe some of the ones that have fusion material have 1500 defense. So this could be saying that we're getting Cyburst support soon. Like the Cyburst fusion stuff could be really cool. Join the battle for all battles. Add a Cyburst normal monster or one fusion. Okay, so that... This has... Because there's no Cyburst fusion in the game at the moment. So this has to imply we're getting Cyburst fusions, right? We're getting the fusions. We're going to buff the skills preemptively because we're going to get the fusions. Does that mean we're getting more product soon? Because that's kind of cool. Either way, until we actually get the fusions, it's going to be hard to make an actual good call on this. And then we've got the rush on. Just say you can have at least most 3 copies, most 3 copies, most 3 copies. So these all going to be the same thing. Okay. Overall, my opinion is this sucks. We really needed Gaia Matarian to get hit, and I feel like it got a slap on the wrist. Now, is this going to hurt the deck? Yes. The deck is not going to be as strong as it was. Is it still going to be the strongest deck? My prediction is yes. I don't think these hits were anywhere near heavy enough. Realistically, I don't see any other deck putting up much of a fight compared to it. It's still going to be the strongest deck. You can play it, again, almost at full power. Like, nothing is going to come close to it. So I'm not particularly happy about this, but it is what it is. But, I mean, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Is this list good in your opinion? Is this bad? Is this going to have you take a break from the format because you are sick of Gaia Matarian? Because I wouldn't be surprised. But thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.